evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection
is a work in progress.
I'm your host, Sam. Alongside me is our host, Tarek. How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, full of the Christmas spirit. Just got home from my kids' winter concert, but ready to talk about some football and some sports and the crazy crap that keeps happening there. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Doing much better than last week. Okay, of course, we have football Jesus come down to talk to his congregation. How you doing tonight?
It's good. I'm ready to celebrate my alleged birthday and everything that goes along with that, food, football, family, all the good F words.
Nice. And then, of course, alongside me, next to me, is my little insider. How you doing tonight?
My head is still sleepy.
Still sleeping. Okay.
Head.
His head is still sleepy. His body, however, different story.
That paints a unique picture, just like...
Doesn't it? Well, it was an interesting week last week. We had some we had a walk-off punt return. We had a game that ended 3-0.
Yeah.
3-0.
Yes.
Craziness.
And I lost by 0.4 in our fantasy league, and it kicked me out of the playoffs.
Wow.
Oh, you wouldn't have made the playoffs if you'd have won.
I was close. Oh, I thought I could still win.
I was technically closer than you. I had more points.
Oh, that seems like bias. Yeah. The commissioner had more points and made the playoffs.
I didn't make the playoffs.
I did.
Yep.
All right, so kick Brady. I can kick Brady off the call now.
Yep. See you guys.
So, there were some interesting games last week, kind of including, surprisingly, last week's Thursday night football game, the Patriots against the Steelers. The Patriots pulled out an incredible win, but so many injuries on Thursday night, and I gotta ask, is it even worth it for the league to continue with Thursday night games?
I'll take this one first. I think there's two ways to really think about this. One, as a fan, I love Thursday night football. It's something to look forward to during the week. It's a nice distraction. Lets you know like the work week's almost done. I love it. But as a semi-professional football analyst, I think it is terrible for the game. Because, as Sam alluded to, the injuries, because there's not enough rest time for these players. I mean, I don't know if my co-host saw this, but the pictures that were floating around of Christian McCaffrey that his girlfriend posted, but how banged up he was after a Sunday game, had to turn right around and play again on Thursday. I believe it was the week of Thanksgiving. Arms covered in bruises, so was his chest. And he's expected to rebound from that and play at the same high level that people are expecting to see a player who is in the MVP conversation to play in. And I would hate to see him or a player of that caliber get injured on Thursday night just for that little respite during the week. So it's a give and take, but I personally love it.
Yeah, so I like Thursday night football. Like in terms of like Christian McCaffrey, someone's that hurt. To be fair, in my opinion, they shouldn't even play Sunday. Like if you're that bad, like I've been bruised like that. Maybe not that bad. Used to play once upon a time. Could play tackle football. I know sometimes it can take, and I've strained a back and an ankle and a knee and dislocated my knee and everything else. So I know it takes time, and I'm not as tough as those guys. But
debatable.
The Viking blood rushes through me. But the games should be flexed. Like some of these games just aren't worth it. And if you make the schedule, they make the schedule months ahead of time. We don't know what's going to be. All right. As an example, the Broncos, they're doing pretty well now, but they didn't start off the season great. We're like all those hopes and dreams, and based on records and everything else, we don't know how these teams are going to go from year to year. So I think a Thursday night game should be able to be flexed in some way, and I don't know the policy for that. But Thursday night, Huh?
You bring up an interesting concept about the flexing. The question then becomes, what happens to all the people who bought tickets to the game?
Keep the tickets, I guess. So,
They work for the flex time. I mean,
Yeah.
True. But most people will buy tickets and hotels and flights and whatever they need to get to where they're going. And then you flex it from Sunday to Thursday and everything gets changed.
You get to switch it out with somebody. I mean, I'm sure you come up with a policy, but life's not fair. But I mean, there's got to be something because the whole point, like, football's a unique sport if you consider like the big four. You got basketball, baseball, hockey, football. So football has the least amount of games by far of any of those sports, and we're trying to take. We added like 1 or 2 more weeks, and we don't have as much exposure during the week. So I think there's like Wednesday night hockey, but hockey can be played like half the time. My phone's going off, and I got a Wizards game and a Caps game going off at the same time other games are happening. So I don't know. I think it's a good idea to just keep as much out there in the ether as possible. But I mean, change it, make it a little bit more interesting, flex it for a different game, or I mean, I understand the injuries and that sucks. Any type of turnaround that you go from like, I think there's been teams that have gone from Monday night to Thursday night, and you got like 2 days to recover and then go play again, and that's just bad scheduling.
Yeah.
So maybe they need to consider you only get a Thursday night after a bye or something to that effect. So give those teams something.
I was just going to say, you bringing up the bye, it brings up a really good point. If you play on Thursday night, the next week you should have your bye.
Yeah.
They should be able to schedule that.
So they shouldn't have any Thursday night games for the first 4 weeks.
I can get on that.
The last
Maybe
5
do the
weeks.
first one. Maybe do the first one just to open up the season, like they do. But maybe like just give it a couple weeks. So everyone's got to get used to football, and at the same time, baseball's finishing up, and other sports are finishing up. I mean, we're not a baseball podcast, but I think the baseball season goes on too long anyway.
Don't threaten
Right.
me with a good time. I'm ready for that.
I have no input on that. But yeah, I mean, other sports are finishing up, so maybe just give it a minute to warm up and get everybody used to the game. Everyone's got a condition and stuff anyway, so.
As far as Thursday night goes, I like Thursday night games. I think there's some tweaking they can do to it to make it a little more palatable for the players themselves. I quite frankly think at some point they're going to an 18-game schedule, whereas right now they're at a 17-game schedule, which is odd and awkward. I believe that when they go to an 18-game schedule, they will break it out into 20 weeks. They will add a bye week, which they did. Fun fact, back in the early to mid 90s, there was a year they had 2 bye weeks, and they got rid of it because the networks didn't like it. It was too many teams off at too many different times, so they got rid of it in favor of just the 1 bye week. Now I think they're going to 18 games, and I think they're going to go to 2 bye weeks at some point, and I think that might alleviate some of the.
I'm not against it. That's
I really want to talk about this more because it also brings up the good point of the league allows teams that travel to London and these other destination games, if you will, to choose whether their bye week is after those. So why can't they do that with Thursday night football too?
yeah, true.
You know, I feel like maybe they do stop doing it for like the first couple weeks, and then they stop doing it the last couple weeks of the season.
You hear that, Roger Goodell? I know you watch this channel. Do it.
Especially because we're getting Saturday night football again this week too. So now you have 3 nights of football. It's just it's
Oh,
crazy.
The random 2 Friday games, Thanksgiving. Like, what is that?
They're trying anything they can to monopolize as much time as much of people's time as they can to make as much money as they can. And the networks are going to
They don't
eat it
make
up.
enough.
So
Got to find some way to raise that salary cap.
The least played person in football who sits on the bench and backs up some quarterback that's never sick makes 5 times the amount I do.
I think 5 is on the underside too. I think
Probably. Well, I know it was. I don't know what it is now. I know it was $500K.
Major league minimum for baseball was like 524. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Let's get to our standings. Let's see where we sit after 14 weeks of football.
660,000, by the way.
oh,
Nice. And
Oh no, hold on. Sorry, I'm sorry, Sam. This year it went up to 750.
man,
Tommy Cutlets is making a nice chunk of change.
yeah. So the standings kind of stay the same. Jessica separates herself from Tarek and me just a little bit, but everybody else had the exact same record last week.
Yeah, bit of a slip up for the boys, and the girl took a leap.
Yeah.
Some of those games were there were so many, like the upsets on that. I'm like, what happened?
Right? The Jets, for some reason, figured it out against a potential playoff team. So,
Right.
Yeah. It's just the defense, man. That was good defense.
yeah,
Houston wasn't ready.
crazy.
All right, let's get into our games of the week. And we, of course, start with football. Jesus, give us that gospel.
Oh, man. I love me a good game with a lot of storylines. So I am going with, I believe, my first homer pick of the season in the Baltimore Ravens against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, as 3/4 of this podcast are Ravens fans, they are much maligned whenever we have to travel to Jacksonville because the Ravens, as a organization, are 10-13 against Jacksonville since 1996 when the team was invented, culminated, created, whatever word you want to use. And the Ravens play poorly in Jacksonville. I believe I looked this up earlier. We are 3-8 in our last games against Jacksonville, but I say we like I'm on the team. I'm not. I wish I was. So the key things about this game, the Ravens defense played atrociously against the Los Angeles Rams, whose offense has been picking up recently. But when you look at teams on paper, the Baltimore Ravens defense should have been able to stop the Rams offense more than it did last week. And it shouldn't have taken a walk-off punt return to win that game. Jacksonville Jaguars, they kind of stuck around and hung in with Cleveland, but really when you look at the spread of the points and the yards, Cleveland was in control of that game for 90% of it, and Jacksonville was trailing. So I think this week is the week where the Ravens finally break out in Jacksonville and are able to beat the Jaguars on their home turf. I'm going to say it's by 7 points. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game because for some reason, when Baltimore goes to Jacksonville, it's just a bad time. But I do think the absence of Christian Kirk and a not 100% Trevor Lawrence is going to be a big factor in this game.
All right, so my question is, which I didn't know, I thought Trevor Lawrence was out. I thought he was hurt. Didn't he
We
hurt
all
his
thought
ankle?
he was gonna be out last week.
I didn't hear either one of that. You both spoke over each other.
We all thought he was going to be out last week.
Yeah. So he's back, and I didn't watch that game, so I didn't know he was back. And he's a key point. And without Trevor Lawrence, I don't think Jacksonville has a chance. So if he's playing, I probably not up to 100%. Looks like they're on a 2-game losing streak. I'd be fired up. We'll see what Trevor Lawrence can do. Nursing an ankle, having strained my ankle and not able to walk, having to throw off your back foot to throw the football and everything. That's going to be a little hard. The Ravens, second week back after the bye. Looks like they're shaking off some rust. Not everything looked great on Sunday. Flowers took a lot of those passes and everything, and the new tight end taken in for Andrews. I'm going with the Ravens on this, mainly because I don't think Trevor Lawrence is up to snuff after nursing that injury, and their Ravens are trying. They want it. I think they really want it. This is one. I think even though they look rough, I think this is one of their more promising looking years if Lamar can stay healthy the rest of the season. So this isn't one of our more injury prone years. So I'm going with Ravens, but it's going to be close.
Okay. Baltimore's going down to Jacksonville. You're right. They have had a pretty rough time in Jacksonville. It's funny. The Ravens tend to go to Jacksonville on years that they're not doing well. And Jacksonville is doing, better than they usually do. Right now, they are struggling a bit. They are in a 2-game losing streak. Travis Etienne is going to be hard for the Ravens to stop. But I think they get it done this week. I have the Baltimore Ravens winning this one big. Big. Boom, big. 2-touchdown win at the end of the game. That's what I got. 28-14. That's the final score. That's what I'm calling. 28-14. I know. It's crazy.
It's a good thing we don't do scores because I'd be in last place.
We'd all be over.
All right. Let's get to our next game of the week. And I believe it's our little insider. What is your game of the week, buddy?
Now, mine is the Stars versus the
Your game is
Falcons versus the Panthers. So the Panthers are not getting that way, but the Seahawks are doing it.
The Falcons.
The Falcons are winning. As you know, they were birds. Well, epic birds.
Epic birds. What Scout Force?
Is this Angels in the outfield, Angels in the end zone, Brady?
Yes, the Angels in the end zone.
Are you done?
One of the few 90s kids that remembers that movie.
So, he's got Atlanta in this one. Can't say I disagree with them too much. They're going against a team that has struggled all year, although I think this is going to be a really close game. I think it comes down to the last 2 minutes, honestly. But I got Atlanta winning it simply because Carolina doesn't really have any reason to be in this game.
I agree, but I believe it's the NFC South is the what's the most creative way that I can describe it? The garbage pail kids of the NFL. I mean, there are 3 teams. We are in week 14. There are 3 teams that are tied for first place at 6 and 7. How many millions of dollars are poured into those 3 teams between personnel, between players, between coaches, and you can't get a 500 record where there is one team in your division that is 1-12? Like,
I have said for years, and Sam can attest to this, I have said, I don't think you should be allowed to win your division unless you are above 500.
I'm 100% with you.
Then your division loses, and you all lose, and it goes to another division.
And, and the team with that 3rd wild card spot should get in because you suck so bad.
Yeah. So no one in the NFC South gets in, and another team from the NFC East gets in. Boom.
First off, there's already 3 wild card teams to get in.
And 4.
Okay, 4. I don't care. But
I don't recall you ever saying that.
It's
so bad. I thought you were adamant about that division winner deserves a home playoff.
I'm sorry, because when you have a guy like you have Desmond Ridder, who probably isn't going to be in the NFL past his rookie contract. You have a guy like Derek Carr, who was a perennial Pro Bowler when he was with the Raiders. And you have Baker Mayfield, who I think is better than people give him credit for. I think he's a pretty good, if not great, quarterback. But you have these 3 teams who are so bad in this division. They they're borderline unwatchable some weeks. So I'm just going to say it, get this over with. I'm going with the Falcons, but I'm not expecting greatness from anyone on this field.
I think this game is going to be like this game I played as a teenager called Wall Ball, where you just played against yourself and somehow you still won. So I agree that Atlanta is going to win because I believe the three of us could play for Carolina and do a better job. Not worked out, not warmed up, just as we are.
Just right
That's
now.
what-
You know
Put me
what?
at fullback.
I'm booking flights.
Do this.
I'm booking flights.
I guess.
So, like, I don't know that we can win, but I feel like we can put up a better score. So, but
I'm going to say it right now, though. If Carolina wins this game, I will never speak about the Atlanta Falcons again because I've wasted 2 seasons of breath on them.
Oh, man. All right. Well, let's forget this one and move on to the next game of the week. Tarek, what do you have to talk about?
how about them boys? Cowboys and Bills. I'm very interested in this one. I think this should be a really fun game. The Cowboys, knock on wood, I'll find wood. I got wood there. Like, I like them this year. I mean, they're my NFC team anyway. My dad watched the Cowboys games while I was growing up in Baltimore, didn't have a team. My best friend likes the Cowboys. Like, they're my NFC team as I tend to root AFC. But, yeah, buddy. But just this year, like, it's just what it feels better. It feels right. We'll see how far they can go. I like shutting up all the people that just love to hate on the Cowboys. Like, oh, we're going to hate on the Cowboys because we hate on the Cowboys. But the Bills
Like chocolate.
at least got a better record than the Falcons. They're not looking too bad. I'm going with the Cowboys to just keep going on their winning streak. I don't think it'll be – I think they're going to come out ahead, stay ahead most of the game, but it won't be too far up. But I'm going with Cowboys.
Now, I will say I had a tough time picking this game because in my semi-professional mind, Buffalo is probably the hardest place to play when we get to this late in the season because it's cold. Their fans are always rowdy. They're essentially the 12th man plus more alcohol in cold weather. And Buffalo is always extremely competitive at home. Now, Dallas has been red hot. Dak Prescott, 100% in my semi-professional mind. I'm giving us the title semi-pro. It should be the MVP frontrunner. He's playing his mind off. You know, you take away the Cardinals game. Like, he has played the best football in my mind for any singular player. However, Buffalo needs this game to stay in up pace because Miami's starting to wane. They're starting to fall off. I mean, they just blew a 14-point lead with less than 4 minutes left on Monday Night Football this week. So I think this game is going to be really close. I think maybe by 4 points. I'm going with Dallas because they're the hotter hand, but I would not be surprised if Buffalo, using some of that, cold weather, raucous energy that crowd gives them, is able to pull this one off.
Who do you have in this game, bud?
Cowboys.
He has the Cowboys. And I think it's just about a clean sweep for the Cowboys here. Buffalo is going to be a hard place to play. Outdoors, Dallas going up there. It's going to be cold. They are a southern indoor team. They don't play as well against away from home, actually. I think their point differential goes from the 40s to the 20s. So it's going to be a little rougher. Yes, the Bills currently really need this. They are in a 6-way tie at 7-6 in the conference. So everywhere from the 6th seed down is tied at 7-6. They need this win. They are desperate to get this win, and they are coming together at the right time. A lot of people were starting to write off the Bills with all their injuries and all the issues that were going on up there. Stephon Diggs wanting out. I think that they start getting into the gear. I have Buffalo winning this one.
Well, hold on. Somebody call Beelzebub because his home has frozen over. The Cowboys fan has not picked the Cowboys. Tarek's dead. I'm calling 911. I'm canceling his plane ticket to Carolina.
As much as I love my Cowboys, I love them. I don't always pick them. I'm a bit more practical. I'm picking the Buffalo Bills.
Are you calling out all the other fans that pick their teams? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm calling out all them other Homer picks. But there you have it. All right. Now let's get to my game of the week.
Sam's got a game of the week.
I have a game of the week because we are missing a member and I'm taking her spot.
It's
My
frozen
heart can't
over.
take it, Sam. You just keep giving
So
me
many
shots.
surprises. Kim, come get Tarek.
So there is one game that I think is big above all others right now for so many reasons, and it is the Broncos against the Lions. You look at the Broncos; they are what, game and a half, game back of Kansas City. The Lions just coming off that inexplicable loss against the Bears. Ooh. Great offense going against a great defense. The Lions play good at home. Their offense plays great at home. The Broncos, however, have been stymieing everyone. And I think Jared Goff is starting to crack a little bit. He's starting to throw a couple more interceptions. The team is starting to turn the ball over. And I think that the Denver Broncos are going to catch him at the right time. I have Denver winning this one, keeping themselves on pace to get a playoff spot. And I know last week I said I don't believe in the Denver Broncos, but this week I feel like they're going to get this victory. It'll feel good for them.
I see the chaps that you wore earlier, Sam. You're slowly turning into some sort of cowboy. Maybe your Bronco is going to arrive soon for you to ride.
They were buttless chaps, by the way.
I knew they were.
All chaps are buttless.
I agree with Sam. You know, we kind of touched on it last week where Denver's defense, like in the rankings, doesn't look that great, but that Miami game has kind of skewed those numbers to where their defense is playing really well. And as Sam alluded to, Detroit's offense has kind of fallen off. So I expect Detroit to kind of stick with the same kind of game plan where they are a run-first team to set up the pass. But when you stick, I forget their Patrick Surtain, when you stick him on a Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's the next guy up? Sam Laporta? Well, you know, the Broncos have really good linebackers to cover him too. So I could see this very well being a blowout game for the Denver Broncos, winning by 14 to 20 points because Detroit's not able to, you know, kind of stretch the field because Jameson Williams hasn't developed into an NFL caliber wide receiver yet. So I'm going with the Broncos in this one, and really with a lot of confidence because I think what we saw of Detroit earlier in the season is not indicative of the team they are now.
This is an interesting one, and I had to look, and I had the Lions pick because I was just selecting really quick so Sam could do the picks, and I just selected who the percentage was by. So I switched mine over to the Broncos real quick. I agree with everything my co-host has said here. The Broncos have done exactly what we talk about every other season. We hopefully don't want the teams to start out as bad as the Broncos did with a 5-game losing streak. But they went on a 5-game winning streak, lost one, and then won the next one, and they're looking hot. Russell Wilson is finally looking something like what he used to, what the Broncos paid all that money for. Jerry Jeudy, who I thought was overpaid and overrated, is actually looking like an NFL wide receiver. Cortland Sutton is picking up wounded ducks and being able to do something with it. So, like, what?
Basting them ducks?
Yeah, they're being basted. They're so juicy and tasty.
Go for some wings right now.
I know, right? What are we talking about? Give me a second, Dr. Pepper. So I'm going with the Broncos. I don't know if it's going to be quite as big as Brady thinks it is, but I mean, it looks like the way the trend goes and on paper, Broncos going up while the Lions are going down a little bit. So we'll see. Broncos, they can see it. This is the best they've done since Peyton Manning retired. So I will say that emphatically because every quarterback they tried to do multiple ones, including Joe Flacco, they just haven't done really anything. This is the best they've looked and the best Denver and all the fans out there have had to root for. So I think they can finally feel their own, as Tim said, that close to a playoff spot. So, and if they don't get it, then we'll take it away from the NFC South and give it to the AFC West.
Who did you pick in this game there, bud?
Lions.
You picked the Lions? All right. Well, you picked the Lions. Let's see where everybody picked for our pop panel pick'ems.
Brought to you by our Buck. Homestead Inc.
More than just a sign shop. Catch them up in Westminster for all of your decal and sign needs. All right, let's take a look at the first set, and we only have a few dissenters. Somebody believes in the yardstick.
I do believe in hockey stick, mainly because he was able to put points up on the board last week, unlike Aiden O'Connell and the Raiders. Especially if
points.
What?
He put up 7 points.
That's 7 more than the Raiders did last week. And now he has a full week of practice. But honestly, it's because Josh Jacobs is questionable going into this game, and I think if the Raiders are unable to run the ball effectively, then the Chargers' much maligned defense will actually have a decent game.
All right, so Tarek said, of course, he changed it to pick from the Lions to the Broncos, so we can skip over that. All right. Next page. Now, mine comes with a caveat for the Houston game. I don't usually do this, but that was the one game where I'm waiting to see what CJ Stroud is going to do. Because he got hurt last week, injury, concussion protocol. So if he's still out with concussion, I am changing my pick to the Titans.
Same. It's hard to really pick the Houston Texans to win anything with what was the guy's name from last year? TJ Yates? No.
Don't ask me. I don't know backups.
Yeah, I don't even know who they got as backup.
Either way, it's Stroud or bust for the Houston Texans. If he's out, they're losing that game.
Pretty much. And then, of course, one person picked Chicago.
Bears.
I don't know why, but for some reason, maybe I'm touching the pulse of the universe like Jessica does sometimes. But there's something about that game that smells trap game to me for Cleveland. And I don't know. I might wind up changing it. Who knows?
Who's more powerful, Ditka or God? Trick question. Ditka is God.
Ditka.
Yeah, Ditka is God. The Bears.
Bears.
Clean sweep here.
Across the board.
I mean, how many of us think that the Patriots are going to beat Kansas City?
I would love it if they did.
I would too.
That's one of those things that hurts my soul. Like watching the Patriots play the Steelers, or they're teams that I really hate and don't really want anybody to win. So rooting for the Patriots just that leaves a nasty taste in my mouth. But I can't really. I respect Patrick Mahomes more than I respect Tom Brady, but I don't, as a Broncos fan, along with my Ravens fanness, I can't root for the Chiefs either. So,
yeah.
A 0-0 tie is the best thing that could happen in that game.
Amen, football Jesus. Amen.
The only game I had question on this page was the New York game because DeVito.
Tommy Cutlets.
That's
Did you guys
right.
like
I'm
that
not
image
Italian.
I
I can't
sent
do
you?
the hands right.
He's finding ways to win, and surprisingly, they're 5-8. They are a game out of a playoff spot.
I just gotta say, like, there's something that about that, like, fourth string quarterback coming in, winning games. He's got a personality. He's got an agent that looks like he's straight out of a Sopranos episode. Like, I love a good, like, he's not even an underdog. He's the underdog story, and he's making the most of it. And again, that was a toss-up game because the Saints are 6-7 in a division that has a 1-12 team.
Anyway,
I can't fathom. My camera's out of focus. It's so, like, it's with me at this point where you spent $100 and some odd $million to bring in Derek Carr. And you have Alvin Kamara, which is arguably a top 5 running back, and you have Marshawn Lattimore and Cam Hayward and all these other studs on your team, and you're not even 500. Like, it's just get a new head coach. Do
So
something.
it's like the Baltimore Orioles?
Okay, yes, trust me. But I know we're not a baseball podcast for the second time, but the Orioles never spent that much money just to suck.
they used to.
We did have Sammy Sosa.
That was an $8 million contract, not a $154 million
There was-
contract.
There was a time in the late 90s where they were the second highest payroll.
Okay, but I'm talking about in, like, today where we have analytics and we have,
To
Amazon
me, the
Web
90s
Services.
was yesterday, okay? Like, it's not that far away. I don't care that it was 23 years ago. To me, it was yesterday.
23 years ago was still the year 2000, Derek.
Anyway, let's jump on to the last set of games. And then, of course, the only dissenting opinion is mine.
But again, that was a toss-up for me. I mean, that it's Buffalo.
It's true. Forget it, Jake.
And honestly, like, let's just glaze over this one. Seattle and the Eagles. The Eagles have played bad recently.
They have.
Like, they have not played up to snuff. So if they can't win this game in Seattle,
Oh, God, I would love to see Seattle go in there and win or go get a win at home. You know what I'm saying? The 12th man just raining down on these people,
I'm
They
expecting
wouldn't be
Michelle
able-
to just come in and smack you upside the head.
Nah.
Of course they're
she's all
going
for
to.
it. She's all for it. She wants them Seahawks to win, too. And
because they're legendary birds.
It's because they're birds.
Because
They're birds, Sammy.
Slap your arms, Sammy. Slap your
They're
arms.
birds.
They're birds, Sammy.
You're not going to flap your arms? No? All right.
I'm tired.
His
All
head
right.
is
Told you.
Thank you guys so much for watching us and enjoying us and bearing with us without just to, like, anchor us down and keep us serious somewhat tonight. Thank you so much. Click that like button. Click subscribe so you know when our videos come out. Leave a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win, how shocked you are at Sam's many surprises this week, and whether or not he gave you a heart attack. And Brady's mom, say how much you want him to cut his hair.
Hi, Mom.
I'm a shingle dicker.
Hi.
I'm Hershey.
Hi, Hershey. Thank you guys again so much for watching and joining us. As always, I'm Tarek.
I'm Football Jesus.
I'm Sam. And I'm Hershey.
And I'm Sam. You have a great football week.
Bye, guys.